Into the news for real here. Yesterday, Daniel RPK let a little something slip out about the Punisher special presentation. Now, before we even get into that, I want to set the table here. The Punisher special presentation, is going to be like what we experienced with the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special presentation, but also the Werewolf by Night special presentation. And I kind of like these special presentations, but I also don't know that they've been viewed enough to kind of like warrant their own existence. And that's unfortunate because I thought both of them were quite good and potentially better than a lot of the Disney Plus shows and less fatiguing as well, because it's like, you know, a one-shot thing, you're in and you're out. Well, this would appear to be Marvel's attempt to do special presentations that I think have more of an inherent draw. So, Punisher, people love this character. Jon Bernthal, particularly portraying the character, people have loved for like the last 10 years. And I think, you know, he's one of the best parts of the whole Netflix thing, everything they did over there. He's absolutely one of the best parts of the new Daredevil show, which frankly was super boring, but he was incredible in it. And we have all these comments, and there's sort of this external to the content thing happening where we understand that Jon Bernthal is very protective of Frank. He was not going to sign up for the original version of the Daredevil show, likely because of the sort of anti-cop nature of what was in that first version of the show. And I mean, it was to the point that Bernthal came out in an interview and said that the people that wear that skull on their uniform when they go into harm's way are like who he's making the show for. It's who he's making the show with. So in basically no uncertain terms, Bernthal has kind of planted his flag in the ground on what he thinks is important to the character, which is interesting, if for no other reason than I think, you know, Marvel and the wider public are kind of trying to recontextualize that. I mean, Marvel themselves, I think, is a bit uncomfortable with that side of the fandom and some of the ways that the fans engage with Punisher, who is literally a murderer, right? But it's more nuanced than that, and I respect the hell out of Bernthal for understanding it and trying to make that a thing. Now, the truth is, everything I just said is actually just a part of why I think Frank and John as Frank is so popular. And so again, this special presentation is interesting because I think this one has a chance to be a lot more popular and more viewed than the other ones. I'm not sure how the holiday special did. That special is incredible. It's one of the best things Gunn's ever made, in my opinion. That holiday special with the Guardians is awesome, dude. I love that thing. And I would assume it got viewership, but we know for sure that Marvel was kind of disappointed in Werewolf by Night's viewership. So there you have that. This has a chance to be a lot more popular. Okay, so let's get into the actual news. Well, what he said, what Daniel reported, was that there's going to be a female villain, and Marvel Studios is reportedly casting for a female crime boss villain for the Punisher special presentations. Now, this is one of those things where if you're not a nerd, if you're not a sweaty, you would not understand how just this little piece of information almost puts a exact 0 point, laser point, you know, we know what it is, basically. But that's because there is a very famous female crime boss from the Punisher comics known as Ma Nucci. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to read this article here from Murphy's Multiverse. Really short read here, and then I'll fill in the gaps on who Ma Nucci is and why this is fucking crazy, okay? If they do what they did in the comics. Marvel's Punisher special presentation may take inspiration from a gritty comic classic. Oh, it's gritty, all right. Frank Castle may not have won the battle against Wilson Fisk's anti-vigilante task force in Daredevil Born Again Season 1 finale, but he spilled plenty of blood. Most importantly, he lived to fight another day, escaping his dungeon cell and setting up the next chapter in his story. Set to stream on Disney Plus in 2026, the Punisher special presentation, co-written by star Jon Bernthal and Reinaldo Marcus Green, will film later this year. But to date, no details about the project plot or cast have been officially revealed. When a special presentation was first announced, February 2025, Bernthal posted a picture of the cover of Punisher 53, the first of a 7-part arc entitled The Final Days. Published in 1991, The Final Days was written by Mike Baron and Cassie Tangle with Wilson Fisk. Given that Fisk is the central villain of the street-level corner of the MCU, an adaptation of Final Days in which Frank takes down the Fat Man would make plenty of sense. However, it sounds as though the new project may be introducing a new crime boss to the MCU for Frank to set his sights on. According to Daniel Richtman, the Punisher special presentation is currently searching for an actress to play a female crime boss who will serve as the primary antagonist of the project. Here's a quote from Bernthal. I care very deeply about Frank. I'm really grateful that I'm getting the opportunity to tell the story that I think fans deserve. We're giving it our all, and we're trying to tell a Frank Castle story that we're going to turn our... wait, what? We're giving it our all. We're going to try to tell a Frank Castle story that we're going to turn our back on the audience. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be light. And I think it's the version of the character the version that this character deserves, and I'm beyond honored and grateful that we get the opportunity. That sentence threw me way the fuck off. We're giving it our all, and we're trying to tell a Frank Castle story that we're going to turn our back on the audience. I mean, that's harsh language. That's pretty wild. I wonder what that means. Maybe it makes more sense if you hear him say it. Though that's as generic as a character description can be, the information has fans beginning to believe that the villain will be Isabella Ma Nucci, the head of the Nucci crime family who tried to take Castle out in Volume 5 of The Punisher, written by Garth Ennis. The 12-issue arc, known as Welcome Back Frank, launched Ennis' 49-issue run with the character and has long been hailed as a classic Punisher tale. Hard-boiled and gruesome because... Our Welcome Back Frank took the character back to his roots and allowed him to do what he does best, kill bad guys with extreme prejudice and a flamethrower. In terms of MCU Punisher continuity, Ma Nucci makes quite a bit of sense as the antagonist for the project, given that Frank wiped out several members of the Nucci crime family, including his son Tony, in episode 1 of The Punisher, 3 a.m. Okay. So this is pretty crazy. Wait, let's read a little bit more here. Earlier this year, Bernthal promised fans Disney Plus special presentation would match the tone set over the first 2 seasons of The Punisher, which streams on Netflix. I'm going to be dark. Frank has no interest in breaking out of the darkness, Bernthal said. So it's not going to be easy. I don't know if that's the Netflix tone, then that's what it's going to be. It will not be Punisher light. I promise you that. If Bernthal's new Punisher story does indeed draw inspiration from Welcome Back Frank, then plenty of darkness is there for them to draw on. Okay, so we got to talk about Ma Nucci. This is nuts. So I guess potential spoilers here, but this is crazy. You can still read it on your own. You know what I mean? If you want to, go out there and read it on your own. Garth Ennis, Punisher. It's a classic run, okay? I'm just going to give you the highlights. So basically, the reason this story is so fucking brutal is this lady, the Nucci, she's at the top of the Nucci crime family. She's just doing crime family stuff, trying to take Frank out with assassins and whatnot. He gets his sights on her, and he literally finds her at a zoo, and he throws her into a pit of lions, a literal lion's den, and the lions rip her apart, literally ripping off both of her arms and both of her legs. You can't see it quite well in this image, but she has no arms and legs because what happens is she survives the lions, okay? And then she's literally still the crime boss and just as brutal as ever, but she just is a torso, basically, with no limbs, no arms, nothing like that, okay? So Frank, at that point, thinks it's over. She then goes on to become even more brutal, even crazier, and the story, or her story, comes to an end when Frank basically shows up to her mansion and lights the whole fucking thing on fire. And she obviously can't run away because she has no arms and legs. So I'm telling you, dude, you think it's a polar bear? It might have been a polar bear. I don't remember. But she gets her fucking arms and legs literally ripped apart. Okay? And I can imagine here how they would show this in the special presentation. I think the special presentation will obviously be maturely rated, but like, damn, they could go really crazy and really hard with this. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me a bit of Sin City, that sequence where they have the dogs like eating the dude's limbs off, and then you have Elijah just sitting there with no arms and legs, and he's all tourniqueted up. It's very disturbing. It's like a really twisted, really disturbing kind of imagery. And then for that to happen, and then she's going to still be around. And you could see how, like, because to me, I think the way Bernthal will probably approach this is like, she's just a force of nature, you know what I mean? And he's a force of nature too, and he was brutal as fuck to her, but he actually didn't finish the job. So he should have made sure she was dead, and that's what he's going to do now. I mean, holy shit, dude. That is pretty brutal. So if that is indeed the direction that Marvel Studios is going in, if that's what they're doing, I mean, my goodness, that's going to be fun. That's going to be pretty wild. It's going to be fun. Feels very frank. Feels super hardcore. So yeah, that's the news. That's the rumor. I wonder what you think about that. Let me know in the comment section or in the chat here live. That's pretty wild. So just a little story, but maybe one of the craziest things that's been going on with Marvel lately. And to me, I think it'll be interesting to see if this is responded well to. I mean, Marvel itself, I think especially over the last couple of years, they got a little caught in being a little too Disneyfied, a little too polished, a little too bright. I think Love and Thunder is like a parody level version of Ragnarok, like just taking everything way too far. And yet Deadpool and Wolverine, which had a bit of a harder edge on it, was very, very successful. R-rated movie makes like 1.3 billion. So this could also be sort of a thing where if fans really respond to this, I mean, Marvel might go in a very violent, like, imagine Garth Ennis being the blueprint from here. I don't know. That would be wild. Thanks for watching. And if you like this clip, smash a like on the actual video and subscribe to this channel. That way more of these clips get into your feed. I've also linked the full episode below if you want to check out the entire thing, including the Q&A we do with fans. You can also watch this show live. We do it live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And you can also find all of my content, including the videos I put on my main YouTube channel, on the podcast feed.